Can you attract your ex back by moving on? I'm going to talk to you about that and how it can be helpful, but that it's important that you do this right and that you don't make some of the mistakes that I'm going to talk about in this video, and that you do the things that I do talk about in this video, and how it impacts your ex. Moving on is not something that you should threaten. You shouldn't say, I'm going to move on. I'm only going to be around for a little bit. If you've said those kind of things, that's okay. If you've said, you better make up your mind quickly because I'm going to move on, or things like that, it's okay. That's normal. And you don't need to feel like you've made some tremendous mistake. But going forward, don't threaten it again. We want your ex to observe that you are not making any efforts to save the relationship, that you are silent. If this is a dating relationship, we're talking about no contact. You are not initiating contact with them. And they have to interpret things from that. And one of those can be that the potential exists that you have moved on. And it's what they perceive the situation to be, which they will trust more than your words. But if they take note of how you're behaving, that you're not initiating contact with them, maybe you post some pictures online where you're out with a group of people, not with another person like it's a date, but a group of people, and they don't know if you're interested in them. We want them to have a lot of guesswork. The more variables that they can see here, you're not contacting them. You are being social. You're going out with a group of people every now and then, or at least they see that it's happened and they get the perception that it will happen again. And a lot of that silence from no contact, night after night, day after day, the assumption is you're doing something with someone, you're focused on something, but it's not them. And you know that's true because when you're not hearing from them, your assumption is often, what are they doing? Who are they doing it with? Things like that. That's the same assumption they will make of you, and it's their perception from your actions. It's not you telling them, and that's what we want. And I'm going to tell you why that's helpful and how it impacts your ex as we go forward. Number 2, it's very important that it doesn't look like you're faking. As a matter of fact, when in doubt, when it could look like you're faking and trying to convince them that you're moving on or something, don't do it, because there's too much of a risk. If it looks fake, like you are trying to get at them, you're trying to make them think that you're moving on, or even if you do feel kind of like you're moving on a little bit, so to speak, and you do something just because you want to show them, just the idea that you're trying to put attention on it, that you're trying to show them, can cause you to lose progress. It can make attraction fall a little bit more. It can make them feel like you're really actually trying to still get them back. So if it even smells or looks fake or could look that way, don't do it. It's not worth the risk. And it's important to mention that when I say moving on, I'm saying that your ex would have reason to believe or suspect or fear that you are deciding to move on with your life in terms of you are not going to pursue them again, that your romantic future will be with someone else most likely, that you have given up on the situation, you're not going to try to get them back, and that you take them at their word that they want to break up, and that you are accepting that breakup. That is what moving on is for the sake of this video. And you should not do things that look like you're trying to get their attention or that you're faking it. You don't have to do those things is what I'm saying. Being silent, maybe posting a group picture every now and then is all you really have to do to put that on them. And it's going to have an impact on them most likely, even if you don't hear from it immediately. And you need to be patient because a lot of times this can take a little while to develop. A lot of these things are subtle and they take days and nights of your ex contemplating things for it to develop. Before I get to number 3, get my $7 reunion blueprint. You can get it at reunionblueprint.com. It's a guide to get your ex back. It's really the good stuff, taking away a lot of the fluff and really just getting to the nitty gritty, the blueprint, so to speak, of getting your ex back. It's really a helpful thing. It's had great reviews from the people who've gone through it so far, and I'm offering it for just $7. I'm trying to make it something everybody can afford. It's the Reunion Blueprint, and you can get it at reunionblueprint.com, and the link to that will be in the description below. Number 3, from fleeing to focus. One of the reasons that it's good for your ex to think that you are moving on, again, without you trying to convince them, without you saying those words, we want them to stop fleeing from you. And if they broke up with you and you tried to get them back, you tried to talk them into it, you became emotional, you wouldn't leave them alone. And even if you weren't that extreme with some of those things, but the perception was you still wanted them back, you're still trying, and that they can expect to hear from you, then if you start doing the things that I normally talk about, like no contact and allowing them to think you're moving on, maybe posting a picture of you in a group, what can happen is they stop feeling like they have to keep escaping you, which is really important. Because if they feel like they're needing to escape you, that you're trying, that you're pursuing, trying to get them back, then they're putting all of their energy in going away from you and getting away from you. And if we can just get them to stop that, that's very important, because they will not just stop running away from you, but they actually turn back towards you because they don't see you. They expected to see you nipping at their heels and just being right there chasing them, but you're not there. They turn around and it changes them into where they're focusing on you, because when you break up with someone, when you end a relationship, the perception is there that the other person wants this more than you do, because you're the one leaving them. You're the one breaking up with them, and they want the relationship. So it creates an attraction imbalance. And one of the first ways to break that stigma, to have them not thinking that they are above you, is for them to see that you're not making that effort. And they turn and they focus on you mostly because it actually does change the circumstances of the breakup. Even if they still want the breakup, if the circumstances change, it gives them pause. It makes them think. Because now it's not that, well, they don't want to be with you and that's why they're breaking up and you still want to be with them. Now it's, you don't want to be with them anymore, or at least you're okay with it, and you're moving on with your life and you're not making an effort to get them back anymore. If they see that, it can create a situation where they feel like, wait, now this person is more attractive than they were when I broke up with them. Because usually the person breaks up with you knowing that you want to be with them, but that they don't want to be with you. And now that appears to have changed, that your desire to be with them did not seem to last very long, and it causes them to focus on you. And it can create preoccupation and curiosity and concern. I do have a video called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact. I'll link to that in the description below and you can take a look at that. But basically, it is perplexing and mysterious to them. Both of those are attractive traits, and so you definitely welcome this. But it stops them from trying to get further away from you, which is very important, because then you have less of a distance that has to be overcome or has to be reached for you to get them back. There's less distance between the two of you when they stop running. Number 4, the decision is no longer theirs. And again, this is similar to the last point. It changes the circumstances. They had decided that they wanted the breakup, but now it appears that you have decided that you do too, or at least that you're not trying to bring the relationship back. And that can cause them to view it as that the decision has been made for them, because up until this point, especially if they thought you wanted to get back together, they kind of left it open in their mind, like they were considering it. Would they get back together? Boy, you'd really like that. That's kind of how they think. And so they feel that they have the decision-making role in this, and that your position on this is a given, that you want it. And they're trying to decide if they do too. And they don't think that they do. That's why they broke up with you, obviously. But usually there's some doubt. And when they feel like the decision has been made and they had doubt about the breakup to some degree, they didn't want to do it. It was difficult, but they made themselves do it. And it's something where most of their emotions, their heart wanted the breakup. Let's say it's 70% or 80% of them wanted the breakup. And that's usually enough, because very few things in life are 100%. But now that the decision has been made, it puts the magnifying glass on those doubts, because it's like, wait, if the decision's made for me, what about these doubts? Because they become more powerful in that situation. They'll look at them more because they feel like that it's getting away from them. The ground under their feet is not solid anymore in terms of them thinking they could always just get you back. And so now they start to actually feel, or at least they can start to feel, some of what you felt when you were broken up with, like that you had no power in the situation, that they were getting to make the decision. You might have even said, what are we? As though they had all the power to decide what the two of you were. Now it doesn't quite feel that way anymore, because they are no longer making the decision. The decision has been made for them. And so now it's like something is being taken away. That part of them that wanted to stay in, that 20 or 30%, that's being taken away from them. And it can start to feel more like 60 or 70% that's being taken away from them. So again, these are positive things when your ex at least suspects or fears that you've moved on. And even if they haven't made effort to get you back, thinking that you're moving on can be frightening, because they live in a world where they assume they could get you back whenever they want. So don't be afraid to let them think that maybe you're moving on. Number 5, if they think this, that you are moving on, it protects you in the future. It protects your attractiveness in the future, because they know you're capable of moving on. Because even if they fear it and you two do get back together, that idea that you could move on, where they are concerned about it, they're seeing evidence of that, they're not hearing from you, that is a lesson for them. Because if you two get back together, hopefully you will. I see it happen a lot with just a simple no contact rule. And my reunion blueprint talks about kind of what you can do when you two do start talking together. You can get that at reunionblueprint.com. But assuming you two do get back together, there probably is going to be times when the relationship has strain again, and there's some difficulty that requires some work or them sticking with their commitment. And we want them to have that memory that you could move on, that they experienced you not trying to get them back, because it makes them less likely to approach the breakup in a flippant or casual mindset. They will see it as more serious, and they certainly, hopefully at least, they'll learn enough to where they won't use this to try to manipulate you or punish you. Like, I'm going to break up with you because I didn't like how you acted yesterday, and then I know you're going to come try to get me back, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to wait until you just beg and grovel enough, and then I might just let you back in. I might just give it back to you. They won't be thinking that way because they know that you can move on, and that they might just mess around and find out. And you certainly don't want them thinking that you can't move on, because then they think if they do get back together with you and they decide that it turns out they really do want the breakup, even though they gave it a good try, but that they want to go back and break up again, that they would have to experience you begging and chasing and pleading and pestering them again. But if you show them you can move on, then they don't worry about that. They know that if they do get back in the relationship and they just decide that it is what they wanted the breakup, that they can leave and they're not going to have to experience a lot of drama or difficulty from you, which makes them more likely to try again, which at least gives you the opportunity to rebuild the relationship and rebuild the traction. So those are some reasons why it's important to allow your ex to fear or be concerned that you're moving on, and kind of how it impacts their mind. The no contact rule is something that can really help you to at least get them thinking that you are capable of moving on, that you're not just going to perpetually be open to getting back together with them, but that you can move on with your life. Remember to get my reunion blueprint to help you get your ex back. It's only $7. It's only $7. It's at reunionblueprint.com. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. And please share this with someone going through a breakup. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.